Oh, final steps have been made for preparation for Sawfest, and then the rain came. The only thing I have left to do is load up the back of my truck with some of this firewood for my folks, Ma and Pa. Let's share a little light on the subject, shall we? We're high class here at Modern Heritage Ranch. Bunch of string lights. So if it's not raining too bad, which it looks like it's raining too bad, I'd show you what's up. Maybe I'll do a quick run. Here we go, real quick. Check it out. Ba-bum, 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 ba-bum. We got all of the bars and chains and the Shindawa back here. My suspenders. The sweet smell of gasoline in the cab. Gonna have me nice and buzzing all the way up there. But yeah, the last thing I was, right now I'm supposed to be filling up the truck with wood. And I know getting it wet wouldn't be that big of a deal. And I know that I wouldn't melt. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to give Eric Salyer a holler. Because I do believe he sells firewood. And if he doesn't, he'd probably... You staying out there, Louie? Come on. Come on. Louie, come on. Anyway, so yeah, maybe he'd sell me a pickup truckload. If not, I'll figure out something. And maybe it'll stop raining before it gets dark, and I'll be able to load it up. I don't know. I'm not too concerned. I'll make sure and get Mom and Dad a load of wood one way or another. But got it all loaded up. I got to be clear about the race chains. Let me go ahead and sit down here. So there seems to be a small amount of confusion here. I can take a steel RS chain or anything else, an Oregon, a cheap chain, whatever. I can take that chain and I can file it, and it's faster than it is out of the box. Okay? All of my chain preparation that you guys have seen, and me struggling trying to get a sharp chain, has been trying to take the Husqvarna C83, which is bar none the fastest chain out of the box that you can buy. I believe it's even faster than Square Grind that you out of the box. All right. I tested it against Oregon's. Now it was a semi-skip, and that sucked that it wasn't a full house, but it was a semi-skip chain, and the C83 fucking murdered it. Okay, it cut so much faster than that Square Grind chain, and I was really shocked by that. So all of my efforts have been trying to hand file the C83 to get it faster than it is out of the box. And I've tried everything. So, I mean, of course, there are people out there that can do it. I'm struggling. I've lowered the rakers. I've lowered them too far. I have filed it with a 7/32 file, which is my normal go-to for 3/8 chain. And it seemed like it didn't give it enough hook. Then I filed it with a 13/64 file, and I was really able to get up underneath there and everything. But with that one right there, that's the one that I just tested, I think yesterday, and I had went too far on the rakers, and it was really grabbing hard. Now in poplar, that chain might cut. It might cut, especially if it's not a big piece. And that would be So it would be on the Shindaiwa, and it would be in like 16 or 18 inches of like poplar. So it really might cut in that. I don't know. But in my oak, it was about ready to push that log right off of its stands. So, which is a testament to how fast that Shindaiwa is, or how much power it has. I mean, it was pushing that big oak log, pushing it around, and which is cool, you know. So time is crunching right now. Everybody's trying to get ready, and so what I decided to do, just go ahead and run stock C83 chain, because I can make a steel RS faster than it is out of the box, but it still is not as fast as a C83 chain stock out of the box. Those things are cutting fiends. They cut excellent. And I just saw Guilty of Treason. He just did a video comparing the Hexa chain to square file, round file, and hand file and everything. And the Hexa did really good for him. And but I skipped through it. The video was long. You guys do it too. You do it to my videos. But I was uncertain, but it seemed like what they did was they set the rakers at the same height across the board. So that tells me that the Hexa will cut pretty good, but you have to cut the rakers down. And my bet is, even with the rakers down, it ain't gonna beat that C83. That C83 cuts really nice. And of course, if you're cutting the rakers down on the Hexa, you got to cut them down on the C83 or match them up, whatever. I don't know. Anyways, my point is I can if I try, which oftentimes I don't try, I can file a decent chain for sure. But to get a chain faster than the C83 straight out of the box, I've yet to do it. And I've yet to see others be capable of doing it. I know Tin Man put out the video, but I mean, I wasn't there. It's not saying I don't believe him or anything like that, but you know, like he said it in the video, he's like, his style of cutting, the wood he's cutting, and you know, Tin Man, I've said it a million times, I feel so bad for the guy because, you know, he ain't got no big wood. He's cutting, he cutting little 10-inch rounds, sometimes 8-inch rounds. We got a 32-inch bar on. I mean, I'm not laughing at you, Tin Man. Oh God, if you're watching this, I respect you, buddy. And it's just the way it is. You ain't got no big wood. Sucks. Because, man, I mean, if you want to have fun cutting with a power saw, man, you got to have at least 16 inches, man. You know, that's where, you know, size does matter, you know. But yeah, he got it faster. Would his chain be faster in my wood? I don't know. Maybe it would. I don't know. It probably would. It looked like it was cutting smooth like butter. Man, I was impressed, really. And eventually I'll get it, you know. I think probably that other chain, I would have done it with the other chain that I just did yesterday, but I took the rakers down too far. I got too greedy. I think that the 13/64 file is where I needed to be to really get in there and get underneath that top plate and get a nice edge on it. But I don't know. I mean, this stuff will continue. I'll keep doing it. You guys know I will. You know, eventually I'll get where I'm like, yeah, look at it. Ooh, cuts. Or at least I hope. Might take me 20 years, but I stick with it. That's kind of, you know, I mean, like the Craftsman, the Sears Craftsman 3.3, that a long time ago, over a year ago, I was like, I'm going to make a race saw out of this. I'm still on that. It is, Brennan Cass has that right now. And he's doing something real special for me. He might do a full circle crank, may not. I don't know about that. Honestly, a full circle crank, I don't think it gives you more power, or more RPMs, it gives you quicker RPMs. So that whenever you're picking it up off of the ground and real quick putting it in the wood, you can reach high RPMs fast. But I don't know everything, and I could be wrong about that, and I'm okay with that. It doesn't bother me to be wrong. Not at all. So I think that my Wild Thing is going to do well. It runs well. It ain't ported the best, and it definitely is not ported the strongest, because, I got that free port going on. I didn't do anything crazy with the porting, but the muffler mod on it really helps it out a lot. My hammerheads, they work. If you watch Smitty's channel and see what a difference a proper pipe made, and we're talking about a pipe muffler. We're not talking about an expansion pipe. I'm not talking about that. Smitty just did a video where he was showcasing the little Iron Horse style pipe that he made. And it makes a huge difference over just a standard muffler mod. That's why they're not allowing it to be ran at Sawfest. Because, yeah, it's that big of a leg up. When Dino Joe dynoed my bad boy, my Poland bad boy, actually it's the Benford bad boy. Whenever he dynoed that thing, it had a muffler mod on it. That muffler was opened up and we had a nice port off to the side. It wasn't the best for sure, but it was a typical muffler mod that everybody does to their box mufflers. It's very typical of that. Put the pipe that I built on there and it gained a half a horsepower. That is a huge increase. Well, what is that? It's like 20% increase just by bolting on one of those pipe mufflers. Now, can you go wrong with a pipe muffler? I'm sure you can. But I like the way that I build mine. I think that they're extremely aesthetically pleasing. I really like them. They look good. And they perform. They straight up perform. I will say that on my Johnsred 2258, I have to go back in there because that on the pipe, I need to remove the pipe, cut the top out of it, and weld a shield over top of the exit so that the exhaust isn't just shooting straight out. Because it is doing that on that saw, and it's just too much of a flow. That cylinder is laid back like this, and the exhaust is coming out right like this. And so the fumes are just going right straight out the mouth of that pipe that I made. And it's extremely loud. It is so loud. And, I've just never had that experience before because that was the first saw that I ever did that was laid back that far at all. Every saw that I've ever done, I think every saw has been completely vertical, the cylinder. And so that exhaust flows straight out. Right? And anyways, you get it. So, due to the firewood, I have very limited space in my truck. So the saws that I will be running for Sawfest, which is the Wild Thing, the Poland 54cc Green Hornet, the Poland Bad Boy that actually Joe is going to meet me there with it, the Shindaiwa 757, the Husqvarna 281 XP, which is bone stock, the Husqvarna 592, which is bone stock, and the Clone 660, which is bone stock. So those are the only saws that I'm bringing. That's it, because I'm out of space in my truck. I got to be able to lock it up. I ain't leaving that stuff in the bed of my truck and just inviting a thief. You know what I mean? I ain't doing that. And I can't put the gas can and stuff like that in the back of the truck, the toolbox, because I've got to be able to load up that bed of that truck for my mom and dad with firewood. So that's where we're at. I really can't wait. I hit the road first thing in the morning. I'll be getting up there and making a cool little video for you guys about Grant Foreman's bike saw. And I think I mentioned it before in another video. Logger Wade, he did like a kind of a semi in-depth look at one of these bike saws, and it was good. It was entertaining. He's always fun to watch. But, and I could be wrong here, but he didn't even know the questions to ask of how this is built. And the person that was telling it, he was given good information for sure, but it was limited. So we're going to take a deep dive into Grant's and see what it takes to actually build one of these bike saws, because there's no real secret. It just takes a lot of fabrication to be able to build the cases of this saw, but everything else really is just off-the-shelf type parts. The stuff that I'm used to running back whenever I had race four-wheelers. He's got an Eddie Sanders Racing 330 cylinder on there. ESR 330 cylinder, I'm almost 100% positive that's what he's got on there. That stuff, you can go online and just click and buy it. You know, and I don't think there's been any further porting, because Eddie Sanders has some of the best porting you can possibly do. so it's all good. And whenever you get to that level, they do not have to put it on and check the squish and all that jazz and see where the timing number is, and you can't port the cylinder separate from the cases. That level, the dirt bike world, you're dealing with a Honda. Sorry, you're going to see my bias right there. You're dealing with a Honda, a modern Honda, and they are perfect. And the Eddie Sanders castings are as well. So we'll take a good deep dive into that. This video's been long enough. Look at that. We're 17 minutes of me just yakking. No real chainsaw footage. Oh my God, I can't believe it. This guy, all he does is yak, 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 yak. That's why I don't watch him. I just skip to the part where he's got the saws running, and then I check out. The guy doesn't know what he's talking about anyways. He just likes to hear himself talk. I don't get very many negative comments. But I do get some, you know. For the most part, man, this is just a really cool community. Never would I ever have expected that. And, you know, that's a little bit snooty of me to say. It is. You know, but I left Kentucky whenever I was 19, went into the military, and I've only been back every other year kind of thing, just for visits with my mom and dad. What I'm getting at is I really left the lifestyle of growing up in the holler. And it's not like I hated it. No, I've had a great childhood, a wonderful time. But, you know, my life just went in a different direction. I had some white collar type jobs. I still do take on some white collar type jobs. And so whenever you do that, you start thinking that everybody blue collar is a little bit backwards. You do. I'm just being honest here. But it ain't the truth. It ain't the truth. I mean, it might be a little bit backwards. But people are smart. People are friendly. People are open to sharing knowledge. So it's great. It really has been freaking great. And I feel really happy. Not that I ever lost touch with my blue collar and my you know, very humble roots. And God, this is a weird direction for the conversation. It's not like I'm like big time or anything. But, you know, I live in the city. You get what I'm saying? I live in the city, and people think I am a god because I know how to change my own brakes on my car, you know? Oh, that's another thing. Eric Salyer, buddy, you asked me if the old Dodge did good going back and forth up to Ohio. I did. I have had an intermittent problem with my rear speed sensor for my rear end, and that is what allows you to have anti-lock brakes, or at least it works in conjunction with your anti-lock brakes, and it also works for your cruise control. So over the past year and a half, I've had this intermittent problem, which I almost never drive on the interstate, so it's no big deal to me. I can't use cruise, I don't care. Don't have anti-lock brakes? I spent my whole life not having anti-lock brakes. But I went ahead, it went out on this trip. It really started causing a problem. And just today I went and I bought that sensor and I replaced it. But like little stuff like that, my friends here in the city, it's so funny because they are flipped out that I can do that. It took me like 15 minutes because I had to do some other stuff. But, it's like a 5-minute job. My truck's so tall, I can just shimmy underneath it, so I didn't even have to put it up on jacks or nothing. And it's just as simple as unbolting the old sensor and putting in the new. So you get my point, how it's like I've been separated from the lifestyle of cutting wood and being out on land property, being able to walk out my back door and shoot a gun, take a piss. Man, that's the number 2 best thing about being a man. The world is your urinal. What's number 1? I finish every time.